Hello, my name is Paul Ford. I'm a voice actor from the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm about to build an isolation booth for the purposes of recording voiceovers in my own home studio. Now, I began this project by spending about a month doing some online research, searching key terms like voice suppression, noise proofing, etc. And I came across a lot of different videos posted by folks who have built their own vocal isolation booths. So in the spirit of contributing back to people and thanking them for the information they gave me, I'm also providing this video to the world out there. Now, I have no doubt as these videos unfold, there'll be times in which you will roll your eyes or scratch your chin and wonder, well, why did Paul do it that way? So what I'd like to do right now is begin by discussing what I call my three major design factors that really affect how it is I'm going about to build this, set my budget, etc. So the three major design factors. The first thing is what I call my burden of proof, which asks, well, just how much noise suppression and sound treatment do I need? There's really those two parts of the project, noise suppression and sound treatment. And the answer to that is I have a pretty mild burden of proof. So I'm building this isolation booth in a residential area. And in fact, I'm making this recording right now just outside where I'll be building the studio, so you can hear the kinds of sounds that I'm going to be dealing with. They're mostly traffic sounds, neighborhood sounds, but there's always, gardening and construction going on. There's a lot of dogs in the neighborhood, as well as my own family sounds. I've got a couple of kids, a wife who plays piano, so these are the kinds of sounds that I'm going to be dealing with. And as you can tell, that's a fairly mild burden of proof. This as opposed to someone who's building a vocal isolation booth in a recording studio where the scenario might be vocalist here, then a wall, then a symphony orchestra or a rock band. I don't have that kind of burden of proof. The second thing in terms of sound treatment, how much sound treatment do I need? And again, the primary purpose of this isolation booth is going to be to record voiceover. So again, I have a pretty mild need in terms of sound treatment. Mostly what I need is a very dry, non-reverberant, non-echoey kinds of space. So from a burden of proof standpoint, fairly mild burden there. The second design factor is what I'm calling my residential constraints. So I'm going to be building this isolation booth in my home, and I'm going to be using the existing structural constraints. I'm not interested in tearing down walls, raising ceilings, or building an addition onto the side of my home. So I'm really building within the existing structure and design of my home. At the onset, that establishes size constraints immediately, but there'll be some other implications of that as well that'll become clear as we progress on the project. The second thing under residential constraints is what I'm calling kind of aesthetics or quality standards. And I need to have a certain high level of aesthetics and quality standards. So I have colleagues who have, like many people on these videos on YouTube, basically taken a closet and stuck that styrofoam or eggshell stuff all over, and then they close the door and they work for hours in this small room. And I think to myself, I need to build a space that is going to be very pleasing to be in. I want to build a space where I'm going to be interested in working for hours at a time in it. And I don't know if I would do so well in that kind of broom closet kind of setting. And the other thing is, since this is going to be part of my home, I want to make sure I don't do anything that detracts from the value of the home. So there has to be a certain aesthetic and quality standard. So with those two design factors, the burden of proof and the residential constraints in place, that brings up the issue of budget. And I have set a budget of $2,000 for materials for this project. And that's really kind of a medium area. I know there's a lot of videos about how you can create your home studio for $50 or $500. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you can spend $10,000 or tens of thousands of dollars. But given the burden of proof and the residential constraints I have, you hear a plane going overhead even as we speak, I don't think I have to do that. So I think $2,000 is going to be a good amount for me to hit the burden of proof and also do the residential constraints. In terms of labor, I'm going to be building it with my father-in-law and then my 11-year-old son. So we'll have 3 generations of guys working on this project. I have a complete set of design plans drawn up with a material list and some budget information. I'll make that available to you as well. So wish me luck, and I look forward to making more of these videos very soon. So to finish up this introductory material, I want to give you a real quick look at the before shot here. This is the actual space into which I will be building the isolation booth. What we have here is a home office that's actually built off my garage, so it's not actually connected to the home structure, and that's a first advantage here. What I've done is I've done very little demo work. I just removed some carpeting. The space that we have here, this is a cement foundation. I put 3 layers, or 3 coats I should say, of some dry lock, some water seal on the floor, just to give me a really clean canvas to work on. The space here is about 6'7" by 6'7" square, and I have a height of about a little under 8 feet of usable space, at which point the ceiling joists become a challenge. So again, the plan now is to build within this existing space an isolation booth that'll have a footprint of about 6.5 feet by 6.5 feet by about 8 feet tall.